Storytelling tales for dark nights.
Man, I ain't never stepping foot in that school again. It was my junior year in high school. My parents had just got a divorce about 5 months earlier. They separated, obviously, and I went with my dad. It was a new town, completely different from the big cities that I was used to. My school had about 800 students, which I thought was weird. It was in the most populous area, but it had the least amount of students. The other schools had 16 to 1,700 students. I ain't really mind though, the smaller the better, less drama, you know. But I did sense that something was wrong. One Friday, in first period, my math teacher announced that she would be out the whole next week. You know how that is, man. We thought we was about to turn up that whole week. Man, was I wrong. So, fast forward to Monday, me and my homies was in breakfast before the first bell rung. We was talking about how we was gonna turn up in first period since Miss Jones wasn't gonna be there. You know how we be. So anyway, the bell rung, but for some reason this time it rang differently. It almost had like a beat to it. It was slow and rhythmic, like it was almost alive. It was super loud. It blocked out all the other noise in the cafeteria. I couldn't hear anything but the bell. It finally stopped and my ears was ringing. I looked around to see if anybody realized this crazy bell sound. Nobody seemed to. I asked my friends, did that bell sound weird to them? Man, you tripping, boy. Ain't nobody heard nothing, man. Boy, you must be high or something. I laughed and said, I guess so. So we left out the cafeteria and started walking down the hallway. And then all of a sudden, I could hear these high heels walking down the hallway behind me. I had never heard no heels that loud before, and I heard them every day from different teachers. I looked back, and by the time I turned around, she was already passing me up. I had never seen nobody walk that fast before. It was like she was running, except she was walking. I didn't get to look at her face, just her long black hair bouncing as she walked. She disappeared into the crowd of students. Again, I was the only one who realized how fast she was moving. I asked my friends, did y'all see how fast she was walking, bro? That was crazy. They said, man, shut up, bro. What you on this morning, man? Did you get sleep last night? They all laughed at me. We made it to class late because you know we weren't going to be on time if my real teacher wasn't there. We opened the door and saw the substitute. She was a young white lady in her early 30s, long black hair, easy on the eyes. She had on a blood red skirt and blouse. When we walked in, she was writing something on the board. She said, late, without ever even looking at us. We went and sat down. We realized that the class was already dead silent. Me and my homies looking around at each other like, what's going on? Why everybody so quiet? They was all sitting there like they had seen a ghost. So you know we gotta act a fool. So we got loud and tried to hype the class up. Man, why y'all folks so quiet, man? Y'all tripping. Miss Jones ain't even here. We supposed to be turned up. Y'all ain't this quiet when she is here. I noticed the substitute stopped writing for a second. She started back. Me and my boys gave up, man. They ain't even moved. One of my friends said, man, I don't know what's up with y'all, bro, but I'm finna go in the hallway, man. Y'all boring. So we got up and walked to the door. He put his hand on the handle and turned it. The door didn't budge. He twisted it again and it still wouldn't open. I yelled out, isn't it locked, bro? And nobody laughed but me and the squad. The sub was still at the board writing. He asked her, what's wrong with this door? Can you let me out? Man, this school's so old and run down, man. She didn't even look his way. So he just sat down at the table in the front of the class and shook his head. She finally stopped writing, and when she turned, it was nothing on the board. How did she spend all that time writing, and there's nothing on the board? She finally spoke. Hello, class. My name is Miss D. She wrote it on the board. She actually wrote something this time. It said Miss and the letter D. Somebody asked her what the D stood for. She just said, "Call me Miss D." She was so cold. It was almost like she was soulless. She was distant, like she was there physically, but not mentally or spiritually. She said, "Your teacher left a list of assignments for you to do, but I won't give you those. I will make the assignments. Take out your math books and open to page 1. Read. Read until the bell rings. And when you get home this evening, read. When you get back tomorrow, you should have read the entire book." We laughed, boy. She must be tripping. You heard what she just said, bro? She must be crazy. She think I'm even gonna read the first page. She just stood at the front of the class, dead. She went and sat at the desk and stared out the door until class was over. She didn't utter another word for that whole period. When the bell rang, everyone got up. I looked over at her, and her eyes were locked on me. She gave me a look that I'd never forget. Just bitter and emotionless, like she was staring into my soul. Her eyes were nearly completely black. I could feel her staring a hole through the back of my head as I walked out. The next day, in breakfast, I was at a table by myself. None of my friends had got to school yet. She was sitting at a table directly across from me on the other side of the cafeteria. She was staring at me with those cold, dead eyes. My phone rang in my pocket and I looked down to get it. By the time I looked up, she had already made it across the cafeteria and was passing me. Freaky, bro. I don't know how she moved that fast. So anyway, we was in class and she said, "Did you all read pages 1 through 5 in your textbooks?" I looked around puzzled. I said, "I thought you told us to read the whole book." Man, the whole class laughed at me. "No, I said read pages 1 through 5. I said to my man, she tripping, bro. I could have sworn she told us to read that whole book, bro. Again, she didn't speak for the rest of the period. I got up when the bell rang, and again, she was staring right at me. So now, it's Wednesday. We walk in class and she was already sitting at the desk, which was directly across from the door. She didn't say a word for the entire class. Nothing. Just sat at the desk looking straight forward. Didn't even move. You know, we didn't care though. We just talked and did what we wanted to for that whole class period. Again, the bell rang and she stared at me as I walked out. Except this time her eyes were even darker and further back in her head. Scarier. So Thursday comes and there's hardly anyone in class. She looked at me for a few seconds and said, "Detention Friday after school. I've let you get away with your behavior all week. Serve your detention or else." Man, I couldn't believe what she had just said. What? Man, you tripping. I ain't did nothing to you all week, man. I ain't said nothing disrespectful to you or nothing, man. I ain't going for that, bro. I got up and stormed out the room. I got home and showed my dad the referral. He told me to just serve the detention and get it over with. So Friday come, and I ain't even go the first period that day, bro. I was tired of that creepy lady, man. Wasn't no way I was going back in there again. So it's Friday afternoon now, and the last bell of the day rings. I go to the detention room and open the door. And to my luck, Miss D was sitting at the desk, looking straight ahead, staring at nothing. "Welcome, Trey." I didn't sit down because I didn't feel comfortable. She stood up and turned to me. Her eyes were just completely black and sunken into her head. Her skin was grayish. I started to get a little scared. I said, "Man, you know what? I ain't standing here, man." So I went to the door to open it, but it wouldn't budge. I turned around and she had the creepiest grin ever on her face. She took one step and was right in front of my face. I started to freak out, man. I tried to push her out of the way, but she didn't move an inch. I moved away from the door. She started to hover. She glided over to me and said, "The wages of sin is death. You will perish for your transgressions." She started to transform into this hellish creature, man. Fire shot from her eyes and nose and mouth. I made a move for the door, and thankfully it opened. The hallways were completely empty. I took off down the hallway like Usain Bolt. I could hear those high heels behind me, loud as ever. Fireballs flew past my head, and then I heard this voice.
You can't run from me. I will always be with you. Your attempts to escape are futile. I will leave you for a season, but I will destroy you in the end.
An evil laugh echoed down through the hallways. It went through my soul. As I was running, the hallway seemed like it never ended. Like it just went on forever. I saw the front door in the distance. I turned on the jets, man.
You've escaped this time.
I finally got to the door and busted through like a linebacker. I fell to the ground and everyone looked at me like I was crazy. It was students and teachers outside. I looked at the door and saw Ms. D walking out in her regular form. Everyone was staring at me. She said, "Oh my gosh, Trey, are you okay? What happened?" I got up and ran all the way home. I ain't stopped till I got there. I opened the front door and I almost died. Miss D was sitting at the table with my dad. He said, "Hey son, your substitute teacher wanted to talk to me about why she gave you detention. It was all just a big misunderstanding."
Chilling tales for dark nights.